He says that, this is exactly his words. He said the Quran is eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie. He says the Quran is it will come as a shafi'ah on the day of judgment. So if this is the question, I'll put it better for you, I'll help you. Yeah, if the Quran is an attribute of God, how can it intercede for you? This is what he's saying, right? It's a good question. This is a good question, but it's not a proper understanding of the hadith. This is the only good question you had. I'll give it to you. This is the only good question you had. The hadith says iqra al-Quran. So it's not that the Quran, i.e. the attribute of Allah, that will intercede for you on the day of judgment, but it is your qira'ah of the Quran and the thawab that you get of the Quran, which means the reward you get from the recitation of the Quran, not the Quran as an attribute of Allah. Yeah.
Now this is the hadith hijab he mentioned, trying to fool us because supposedly you do not know Arabic, my friend. You see, when they lie to you and you debate them, you see the problem is, I find in this debate, that David Wood was not really he wasn't a debater. He was just there to read an article he wrote or he collect from the internet, and he deliver it, and then after that it doesn't matter. That is not really a debate. This is why this guy, he looked like he is a person who made a victory. If you read with me carefully, it says the Messenger of Allah said, and this is a Sahih hadith, recite the Quran, for on the day of resurrection it will come as an intercessor. He said that it's not the Quran will come to you, it is recite the Quran will intercede to you. But here it says, you notice with the word will come. You see, when I say to you will come, that is a physical action. Who is coming? The Quran. Coming to who? To the man who he will intercede to. So he quote for you the first part of the hadith, but he ignored the part where it says it will come. Now, in order to understand more, you see, the Muslims, they say to us, don't misquote. You have to read more in interpretation and explanation for the hadith. Okay, let's do that, and let us get you busted. Again, this is Sahih Muslim. This is a very Sahih hadith, and your Prophet is the one says it will come. Now, how it will come? Let us see what Muhammad says more about this. Now, this Abdul, he said that name for me, please, please. We Arab, we don't say please, we say please. And we buy shampoo, not shampoo. And now Mr. James Bond of Islam, who is supposedly Muslim, they think he is a hero, not only exposing the stupidity of Islam, exposing how false they are, because if they are of the true God, why you are lying? I mean, why you are not honest in the answer? He said that David would say, name for me one person in Islam said that Quran is eternal person, or it is a person.
He says that, this is exactly his words. He said the Quran is eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie.
And he said the Quran will intercede for you. Recitation of the Quran, not the Quran itself, will come. But the fact, the one who said that is not a scholar. This is he's a prophet. Unless he's a prophet, is not qualified to Mr. James Bond of Islam, Muhammad Hijab, to be qualified to speak about who is the Quran. The Quran will come in on the day of resurrection like a pale man and will say, so who is the one will come? It is the Quran will come. He said, no, it's not the Quran will come, it's recitation of the Quran. You recite the Quran by the recitation of your Quran, that will intercede to you in front of God, because one day you were reciting the Quran. But this is a big fat lie. This is not what his prophet said. As you see, his prophet confirmed that because he was reciting the Quran one day, the Quran itself will come. The Quran will come in person. He said, who is the one who told you that the Quran is a person? And now if the Quran is not an eternal, how come the Quran is there in the judgment day? I am a person who was born, let us say, 7,000 years ago, and now I am coming to you after 7,000 years, or let us say, God knows when the judgment day will be, maybe a million years from now. The Quran will come to you as a person. This means that this person is living person, and he exists for all the time, and he is witnessing for you, and he will be there for you the same as God in the judgment day. The liar, he claimed that it is not the Quran will come as a person, it is recitation of the Quran. But the fact is a prophet saying not only the Quran will come, but he will come as a pale man, as if he's coming from the grave too with you. And look what it says, that I am the one, the Quran will introduce himself to the man. He will say to him, I am the one who kept you away, or awake, sorry, at night and made you thirsty during the day. The Quran, in order to do that, he have to be multi-person. It cannot be one person, because how many Muslims there is? According to Muslim today, they are 1.6 billion. I believe they are not even a 1 billion, because they count everyone who live in Islamic countries as a Muslim, including me. They count all the Christians who live in the Middle East as Muslims. This is how they calculate the numbers. They calculate all the Christians who live in Indonesia as Muslims. So look what happened here. In order for the Quran to come as a pale man, and that will happen to every Muslim in the day of judgment day, then how many Quran will be and how many pale man will be? Are you getting my point? To make it simple, I will use a simple drawing for the Muslims, because Muslims always they play slow. All right. So if we have this guy, his name is Muhammad, and this guy, his name is Ahmad, and this guy, his name is Mustafa, and this guy, his name is Abdul. Now the Quran, or the day of judgment, all those people will stand up together, but the Quran will come to them in the shape of a pale man. That means each one of them, he will have with him a companion as a person, which is the Quran.
He says that, this is exactly his words. He said the Quran is eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie.
This guy, he will have a Quran as a pale man. This guy will have a Quran as a pale man. This guy will have a Quran as a pale man. This guy, the Quran is a pale man. How the Quran can be a multiple person and multiple men in the same time? That means we have equal men who they are the Quran, equal to mankind who they are Muslims. And yet this Abdul, he is lying to his teeth, saying, name for me one scholar says so. Let us continue getting you busted.
He says that, this is exactly his words. He said the Quran is eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie. He says the Quran is it will come as a shafi'ah on the day of judgment. So if this is the question, I'll put it better for you, I'll help you. Yeah, if the Quran is an attribute of God, how can it intercede for you? This is what he's saying, right? It's a good question. This is a good question, but it's not a proper understanding of the hadith. This is the only good question you had. I'll give it to you. This is the only good question you had. The hadith says iqra al-Quran. So it's not that the Quran, i.e. the attribute of Allah, that will intercede for you on the day of judgment, but it is your qira'ah of the Quran and the thawab that you get of the Quran, which means the reward you get from the recitation of the Quran, not the Quran as an attribute of Allah. Yeah.
We continue getting this Abdul busted, as we do always. This is his prophet, and he said to us, whoever say that, it's a lie, which means he is saying he's a prophet, is lying. I mean, that's amazing. Thank you very much for saying that. I was sitting with the Prophet and I heard him say, who? The Prophet. Who? The Prophet, which means the biggest Abdul in the world. Unless hijab don't consider the Prophet someone to be considered. And especially when he said, whoever says that is a liar. Learn the chapter of Al-Baqarah, because learning it is a blessing, ignoring it is a sorrow. And then he continues saying, go down. Learn Surah Al-Baqarah and Al Imran, which means the chapter of the cow and the chapter of Al Imran. By the way, the name of Al Imran, supposedly this is the last name of Musa, which is a very funny, wrong mistake, historian mistake in the Quran. Same time, in case you do not know what Al-Baqarah means the cow. And why it's called the cow? Because one day, Musa, he asked his FBI department to investigate the death of a believer who was killed violently. So Allah told him, bring brother some beef and shish kebab and beat him with him. Some Muslim scholars, they say it was the tail of the cow. Some of them, they say it's the tongue. And some, they say it was organs. It doesn't matter what it is. And this is why they call it the chapter of the cow, because they beat the dead man to bring him to life. And supposedly the guy, he woke up for 2 seconds and he say, my name is Abdul, and the one who killed me, his name is the Christian prince. And he died immediately. Let us continue. So the Prophet is ordering the Muslim to learn those 2 chapters, because they are lights and they shade their people in the day of resurrection, just like a cloud. 2 spaces of shade, or 2 lines of birds flying. The Quran, read carefully here with me. The Quran will meet its companion in a shape of a pale-faced man on the day of resurrection. The Quran will meet. The Quran will meet. It's not your recitation will intercede to you, as this guy liar, he said. Where is the honesty in the answer? I mean, aren't you ashamed of lying? People, they will laugh at you now. And thank you very much for saying a lie, because nobody now will trust whatever you say. You claim that you are a person who can. You are the one who ended the career of David Wood. My friend, you ended your career as a scammer. Because you are scamming the Muslims, asking them for donations when you do not know what are you talking about, and you are lying in the tongue of your prophet. Saying that the one who say that is a liar, which means you are accusing your prophet to be a liar. Whoever say, if the Quran is not a person and the Quran is not eternal, how the Quran is going to be exist in the judgment day, when the Quran something been spoke at least 1,400 years ago? And remember, Allah, he wrote his book before even he created Adam. So the Quran's existence have nothing to do with Muhammad, which means it is very long time ago exist, and it's not created. So here we go, we have a book, it's not created. Well, let's say not a book, sorry, the words of Allah, which is the Quran, because it doesn't matter if it's a book or not. This is what something later happened. So the Quran is not created. The Quran is coming to you as a person. The Quran is a man, and then the Quran is a talking individual. Read carefully with me again. And then when the Quran come to you in a shape of a pale-faced man, the Quran will ask him. In order for the Quran to ask again, to ask you questions, the Quran must be a person. Who is talking there when the Quran is talking? The Quran is bringing his words from where? When the Quran is asking me a question, that means the Quran, he have a brain, he have a thinking mind. How the Quran asks me questions, unless he is an individual person? And as you see, he is coming as a shape of a man, perfect man. In the same time, the Quran is a talking Quran. He talk. It's not only a recitation happened 1,400 years ago. It is a talking person who will speak in the day of judgment. And the Quran will ask you a very important questions. Do you know me? Do you know me? And let me ask you a question. Why I'm supposed to know you? Why I'm supposed to know you, Mr. Quran? The man will say, which means the man in the grave, the one who just came from the grave, I do not know you. The Quran will say, I am your companion. That means the Quran proven to be eternal, because here we go, the guy is dead, but this is the companion of the Quran, and he is a man with him in the grave actually. This is why the Quran here says pale-faced man. Why he is pale-faced man? Because this is the companion of the dead body, which is the Quran, which is a person, which means there's billions of Quran. How many people, they are Muslims, they die already since the time of Islam until now? If now we have 1.4 billion, let us make the Muslims happy, 3 billions. Trust me, in 2 weeks from now, they will say they are 4 billions. And every one of them, he have a companion which is a peeled man, and he is going to ask him the same questions. Is that a bacteria Quran? Spread all over? Or those are individual Quran, each one of them is independent? Muhammad, he says stories which is stupid, and then the Muslims, they have to live the dilemma of those stupid stories. And now, in order to defend Islam, they have no choice but to lie. And they say, we don't have such a thing. No, you do. You do, and you are a liar. You said whoever say that, he is a liar, when the fact you are the liar, and here your prophet saying that, and you are accusing your prophet to be a liar. Let us continue getting them busted. Give you an example of how Muslims they lie when they translate the hadith. As an example, the hadith in front of us, which is Hasan Sahih, which means it is Hasan and correct. Look what the hadith says. In the translation they said that the prophet said, the one who memorized the Quran shall come on the day of judgment. When you read this, you think, okay, who is the one who will come in the judgment day? Who, the man? It sounds like it. The one who memorized the Quran shall come on the day of judgment. But this is not what the hadith is saying. The hadith in Arabic saying the following. And those who speak Arabic from the Muslims, I challenge you to say I'm lying. I challenge you. Actually, you can copy this hadith and post it in Google Translation right now, and you will see this is what it's meant. It says, يجيء القرآن يوم القيامة فيقول يا ربي. The Quran will come in the judgment day. So the Quran will come as a person, but why we don't see that in the English translation? This is why you have to be careful when you read Muslim translation, because there is many like hijab in the Islamic words. Here we go. You tell me why the translator, he did not translate accurately and say it is the Quran who will come, but he make it as if it is the man, he will come in the judgment day, and the Quran will recite, will intercede for his recitation. To get them busted more. This is Ibn Kathir.
He says that, this is exactly his words. He said the Quran is eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie. He says the Quran is, it will come as a shafi'ah on the day of judgment. So if this is the question, I'll put it better for you, I'll help you. Yeah. If the Quran is an attribute of God, how can it intercede for you? This is what he's saying, right? It's a good question. This is a good question. But it's not a proper understanding of the hadith. This is the only good question you had. I'll give it to you. This is the only good question you had. The hadith says, Iqra al-Quran. So it's not that the Quran, i.e. the attribute of Allah that will intercede for you on the day of judgment, but it is your qira'ah of the Quran and the thawab that you get of the Quran, which means the reward you get from the recitation of the Quran, not the Quran as an attribute of Allah.
This is another example of getting this Abdul liar busted. This is Islam QA or QA.info, very Islamic website. Islam questions and answers, as you see in the banner. This is not a Christian website. This is not a Hindu. This is not a Jewish website. This is your Islamic website as it is. And look what your website says, Abdul, getting you busted. Question: how sound is this hadith? So there's a question about a hadith, about the Quran, and about your good deeds will come to you. All right, what does that mean? So now they are answering him, and the title of the topic: good deeds appear in the form of a man in the grave. Do you see it? What is the good deed they are talking about? It is the Quran. If we go down here, we will see the following. It was narrated in the Sahih Sunnah. Sahih Sunnah. Focus with me. When you say in Arabic, for those who don't speak Arabic, Sahih mean authentic. Sunnah mean the teaching of the Prophet, what he practiced, what he said, etc. So about one's good deed talking a physical form, and appearing in the form of a handsome man in the grave. All right, now the scholars here, they start explaining to us what is correct and what is not correct. It was narrated, all what you see here is going to be considered sahih. See, it says sahih. Sahih. All of this, they are quoting for you only what is sahih about it. But this Abdul, he said to us, not even a single scholar believe in that when they are saying the opposite, getting him busted. This is why we cannot trust Muslims when they debate about Islam. They don't debate, they lie. Read with me carefully. When they are in the grave, those people in the grave, then a voice will call from heaven. A voice will call from heaven. My slave has spoken the truth, so prepare for him a bed from paradise, and clothe him from paradise, and open for him the gate of paradise. There are come to him some of it is frequency, and his grave is made wide as far as he can see. Then there is come to him a man with a handsome face, a handsome cloth, and good frequency, and who say, receive a glad tiding. Okay, now who is this person? This is the Quran. How we can confirm that this is the Quran? Read carefully. The Quran will meet its companion in the day of resurrection, when its grave is opened for him in a form of a pale man. It will say to him, do you recognize me? He will say, I do not recognize you. He says, I am your companion, the Quran. And as you see, this is Sahih. They cannot say it's weak. They cannot say it's a fabricated. This is why, my friend, when you speak to Muslims, you have to be careful. Muslims are not people who following a true God. This is why they have no problem to lie. In order to deceive, they are allowed to deceive you in order to make you believe Islam is a true religion. How this guy, he said there's nobody believe in such a thing, when as you see, it's all over. And it took me a lot of time, by the way, to find this article in English, because for me, as a person who speak Arabic, I have no idea. I mean, what those English, I don't care for the English, I care for what the Arabic says. But for you, because you need it in English, I have to search for it for a while. Took me a while to find it. For me, I read what it says in Arabic. I do not need this garbage. I will never read anything Muslims provide me in English, because not even a single translation the Muslims they have is an accurate and correct and honest translation. But because I have no choice but to show you what they say in English in order to prove my point. And as you see here, they are saying that this is Sahih. You will see, just look at the text down there, under this video, and you will see how many Muslims they will say this hadith is weak. It is da'if. By the way, even da'if hadith in Islam is accepted. This is why we cannot trust those Abdul who they are comedian in the stage. They are scamming for just, right away this guy, he made a video after not even a few hours after the debate, asking the Muslim to pay him £50,000 a month. £50,000 a month. Why? This guy, he want to have a studio now. He brought you victory by lying. He brought you victory by deceiving. He brought you victory by false fiction, and he is accusing his prophet and making mockery of his prophet, saying that whoever believes in that is a liar. There's not a single person in the history of Islam says that the Quran is eternal person. And it's not the Quran will come to you, it's your recitation of the Quran will intercede for you. What a shameful cult. You see, if you follow a liar, why you will not lie yourself? Your prophet is the best example to follow. The best example for us to follow is the Messiah, the Jesus the Christ, the Lord of the Lord, the Lord of good, and the God who is good always, who never speaks sin, who never do sin, he never lie. This is why the Bible say, and the Muslim they say to us, that the Old Testament says God is not a man who lie. That is Jesus, my friend. When the Bible says that, that means men they lie, but not Jesus. And that is your hijab lying in front of you, claiming that Quran reading will intercede for you. Is not the Quran as a person will intercede for you, which is an absolute big fat lie. Listen and watch the rest of the video and laugh at this comedy. Thank you very much.
Allah has parts. He says Muslim scholars say we should take this literally. Which Muslim scholars? Which Muslim scholars?
Who is Allah praying to? We can't forget that according to Muhammad, the Quran is also a person who intercedes for Muslims. In Sahih Muslim, 1874, Muhammad says to his companions, recite the Quran, for it will come on the day of resurrection interceding for its companions. Now, how can a book intercede for people? Muhammad explains in Musnad Ahmed and Sunan Ibn Majah, where he says, the Quran will meet its companion on the day of resurrection when his grave is opened for him in the form of a pale man. The Quran will say to him, do you recognize me? He will say, I do not recognize you. It will say, I am your companion, the Quran, who kept you thirsty on hot days and kept you awake at night. So the Quran, which is eternal and uncreated, appears as a pale man, speaks to Muslims, and then speaks to Allah on their behalf.
After 20 years of researching Islam, you come with this. Okay.
Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet's companion, said that Prophet Muhammad once said, the meaning of the saying, the Prophet, Allah's hand is ever full. Now he used the word Yadullah mil'a. Now why do the translation here we use the word hands? Because Allah also talk about himself. Yadullah fawqa aydihim. The hand of Allah is above their hands. But how do the hand of Allah look like? Don't imagine. Just leave it. Do Allah have hand? As a believer, what do you say? Yeah. Allah say He have hand. What can I say? You must say Allah's hand represent His power, His authority. Power, Allah said qudra. Power, the word power means qudra. Or you can, is qawiyun, qaharun. But the word yad, you open any dictionary, Arabic dictionary, what is the meaning of yad? Literally, yad means hand. Just said hand. I didn't say, Allah said. The Prophet said, who knows Allah better than Allah? Who knows Allah better than Prophet Muhammad?
Brother, we are the only one who can bring the hundreds of thousands who left Islam by making fun of the Prophet Muhammad because he said that Allah have hands and he have a leg and he have a shin and he have fingers. We will make fun of everyone who believe in what Muhammad he said. We will make fun of the Quran where the Quran says Allah has a shin. We will make fun of anyone who says that the Quran is eternal. We will make fun of anything about Islam. This is what Muslims do. People, they will leave Islam because of you, Abdul, and you are the best to help us. Anyone who will watch this video, he will see how much lies you put there, and they will leave Islam. It's about money. It's not about God. Thank you very much. Continue watching.
So my brothers and sisters, you heard that beautiful recitation from Brother Mohammed Hijab. All we request for you to do is go and click at the link below and donate.
Parts, he says Muslim scholars say we should take this literally. Which Muslim scholars? Which Muslim scholars?
Allah Ta'ala has a foot. Does He not? Is there any proof for that? It will say, as the Quran mentions in Surah Qaf, verse 30, يَوْمَ نَقُولُ لِجَهَنَّمْ هَلْ امْتَلَأْتِ وَتَقُولُ هَلْ مِن مَزِيدٍ. Today we say to hellfire, are you full? It says no. Is there more? I want more. Then Allah Ta'ala places His foot in hellfire. His beautiful, magnificent, excellent foot. And then hellfire says, enough, enough.
Allah has parts. He says Muslim scholars say we should take this literally. Which Muslim scholars? Which Muslim scholars?
Authentic narration claims, says in Bukhari, Ya Muhammad, Allah Ta'ala will place all the heavens on a finger. Allah Ta'ala will place all the mountains on a finger. Allah Ta'ala will place all the trees on a finger. Allah Ta'ala will place all of the creation on a finger. And then he will say, I am the king. Upon that, Muhammad sallam smiled, and to his premolar teeth became visible. And he recited, Ma qadarullah haqqa qadri. They made not a just estimate of Allah such as is due to him. Abdullah, the narrator, said the reason why he smiled is to express his wonder and his belief in what the Jew said. So what does this prove? That Allah has a finger.
Allah has parts. He says Muslim scholars say we should take this literally. Which Muslim scholars? Which Muslim scholars?
We will crave to see the face of Allah. Our Prophet said, the face of Allah we would like to see. So Allah has a body, but not like you and mine. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Shura chapter 5 to verse number 11, there is nothing whatever like Allah. He hears and sees, but He doesn't hear like you and me. For you and me require ear to hear. Allah, how He hears? Allah alam. He sees. We require eyes to see. Allah, how does He see? Allah alam. So Allah is there. He has a form. How it is? Allah alam. He has a hand. Yes, Quran says that.